Pablo Emilio Escobar, one of the most successful, ruthless, and efficient drug kingpins to ever walk this planet, was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, a city in Colombia. He grew from a middle-class lifestyle into a man wealthy enough to be ranked as the 7th richest person in the world in 1989. At his peak, Escobar was moving massive shipments of illegal drugs globally, ordering political assassinations, gang murders, and even had relations with the Colombian government. Let's just say Mr. Escobar was very skilled at his job. But today, we're not here to recount the stories of how he made his estimated $30 billion in illicit wealth. We'll be looking at the extravagant mansions he spent his blood-soaked money buying. Because if there's one thing Escobar was known for, it was his lavish spending, a lifestyle that ultimately led to his downfall. La Manuela. It was estimated that Pablo Escobar was moving around 15 tons of cocaine into the United States daily, bringing in a staggering $810 per second. With this fortune pouring in, he certainly wasn't about to put all those illicit funds in a bank. Instead, Escobar hid his money in countless unusual spots: warehouses, fields, and of course, his vast estates. One of the most extravagant of these hideaways was La Manuela, a mansion that Escobar would probably claim he obtained legitimately if asked. La Manuela wasn't just any property. It was Escobar's personal retreat, a peaceful hideaway by the water where he could escape from the relentless pressures of his empire. But unlike most people who take vacations, Escobar chose to own his getaway. Set on 20 sprawling acres in the resort town of Guatapé, the estate was positioned along the Peñol Reservoir, and he named it after his beloved daughter, Manuela. Escobar funneled massive amounts of money into La Manuela. After all, this wasn't just any property. It was named after his pride and joy, and nothing short of extravagance would do. The mansion featured a massive pool, tennis courts, and even horse stables. Escobar, known for his love of vehicles, owned a collection that spanned land, sea, and sky. In total, he had 15 private jets and 6 helicopters. Naturally, La Manuela had a helipad big enough for a game of football and even a seaplane dock. But when you're one of the world's most notorious drug lords, nowhere is entirely safe, not even your personal paradise. La Manuela had guard towers to prevent uninvited guests from setting foot on the property, but even that wasn't enough to secure it. Just 8 months before his death, Escobar's enemies launched an attack. They planted 200 kilograms of TNT in one of the bathrooms and set it off, blowing a significant part of the estate to pieces. After that, La Manuela was left to the elements, slowly reclaimed by nature, and today, the once magnificent mansion stands in ruins, vines, and plants covering the remnants. Interestingly, the ruins have found new life as a popular paintball battleground, so the place hasn't gone entirely to waste. La Manuela was likely one of many locations where Escobar hid his staggering wealth. After his death, treasure hunters descended upon the estate, tearing it apart in hopes of uncovering lost fortune. According to Escobar's brother, roughly 10% of their income, around $2.1 billion annually, was lost due to the strange places they hid their money. Some were simply assumed to have been eaten by rats, destroyed by the elements, or in certain cases, entirely forgotten and lost forever. Hacienda Nápoles. Another of Pablo Escobar's extravagant properties, Hacienda Nápoles, or as he likes to say, Naples Estate, reflected his playful, larger-than-life personality. Located in Puerto Triunfo, Colombia, this estate sprawled over 7.7 square miles, making it even larger than Disneyland Paris. It was not just a home for Escobar and his family. It was a personal amusement park packed with attractions, all built to Escobar's lavish tastes. Hacienda Nápoles was decked out with a Spanish colonial-style mansion, a sculpture park, and a private zoo that housed a range of exotic animals, from hippos to elephants. There was also a bull ring and a kart racing track, which kept his family entertained while maintaining a secure environment within the estate's heavily guarded boundaries. Escobar's fascination with vehicles was reflected here too. Hacienda Nápoles was expansive enough to include a private airport to accommodate his private jets, and he kept an impressive collection of vintage and luxury cars on site. After Escobar's death in 1993, Hacienda Nápoles underwent a transformation. Many of the original buildings were demolished or repurposed, and eventually, the entire estate was converted into a family-friendly theme park. Now, this former haven for Colombia's most infamous drug lord has become a tourist attraction, giving visitors a glimpse into Escobar's controversial legacy while offering a light-hearted destination for family outings. The park stands as a reminder of Escobar's larger-than-life presence, both a relic of his past and a way to repurpose his legacy into something altogether different. La Casa Grande. Well, not all of Escobar's homes were in Colombia, and there were good reasons for that. His reputation didn't exactly make him popular. One of these hidden retreats was La Casa Grande, located on the tiny Caribbean island of La Isla Grande. This estate sat on an island with a population of just over 1,000 people and could only be accessed by a special boat from Cartagena, ensuring privacy far from prying eyes. At its height, La Casa Grande was one of Escobar's most extravagant properties, featuring over 300 luxuriously furnished rooms with solid gold shower heads in every bathroom. This massive mansion symbolized the seemingly endless wealth Escobar amassed despite his attempts to spend it all. In designing this secluded getaway, he went all out, building a complex complete with dazzling white walls, a massive swimming pool, a helicopter landing pad, and a private dock. Reaching La Casa Grande required hours of navigating the dense Caribbean forest, with visitors greeted by armed guards before even getting a glimpse of the estate. After Escobar's death, La Casa Grande fell into government hands and slowly succumbed to decay. Nature gradually reclaimed the estate, and what was once a hub of secretive gatherings with powerful figures from the underground world became a derelict shell. Unlike some of Escobar's other properties that were repurposed, La Casa Grande was left to deteriorate, a haunting remnant of Escobar's reign. Today, it remains abandoned, largely forgotten, and lost even to Google Maps, a ghostly monument to a darker time. Monaco Building. During his lifetime, Pablo Escobar was able to amass a vast portfolio of properties both in Colombia and abroad, some of which served his lavish tastes, while others were intended for the communities he claimed to support. However, not every one of his properties was an expansive estate. The Monaco Building, for example, stood in Medellin as a comparatively modest structure, at least by Escobar's standards. This gray, six-story building held a special place in his heart, with a luxuriously decorated penthouse crowning its top, serving as Escobar's private retreat. Escobar occupied the Monaco Building for years until 1988, when it became a target in the bloody cartel wars. A bomb planted by a rival cartel exploded, damaging the structure and forcing Escobar to abandon it. For decades, even after his death, the Monaco Building remained standing, an eerie landmark tied to Medellin's violent history. Tourists would visit, drawn by the stories surrounding the infamous drug lord's former residence. In 2018, Medellin city officials decided it was time to erase this painful reminder of Escobar's legacy. The building was demolished as part of a symbolic move to help the city leave behind its dark past. In its place now stands a memorial dedicated to the victims of Escobar's reign, a tribute meant to honor the lives lost and serve as a reminder of the resilience of Medellin, a city working to rebuild its image and heal from the scars left by one of the world's most infamous criminals. Hotel Escobar. Being the most powerful drug lord in all of Colombia meant that Escobar lived a life on the edge, constantly evading both rival cartels and law enforcement. With the path he'd chosen, there were only two likely outcomes for him. Either he'd end up dead at the hands of a rival gang, or he'd spend the rest of his days rotting away in a U.S. prison. But Escobar was no ordinary criminal. Using his power and influence, he found a way to avoid U.S. imprisonment while keeping himself protected from those who wanted him dead. His mentality had always been clear. He would rather die in a hail of bullets than be extradited to the United States. Leveraging his immense wealth, Escobar convinced and coerced local authorities to allow him to construct his very own prison, a prison that would keep him technically imprisoned, but of course entirely on his own terms. And remember, this is Pablo Escobar we're talking about, so naturally this was no ordinary prison. This is the story of how La Catedral, also known as Hotel Escobar, came to be. La Catedral wasn't built to hold Escobar in place. It was constructed to keep his enemies out. Located on a fog-covered mountainside, the prison was perfectly designed to prevent attacks by air, and Escobar handpicked his own guards for added security. Let's just say, if anyone managed to locate La Catedral, they'd be met with an untimely end. The lavish prison soon earned the nickname Hotel Escobar because it offered amenities that rivaled a five-star hotel. La Catedral had every luxury imaginable. It even included a casino where Escobar would gamble with his own guards, a playhouse for his beloved daughter Manuela, a spa, and an entire football field, since Escobar was a huge fan of the sport. He even once invited the Colombian national team to come all the way to his mountain prison for a friendly game, offering them the finest hospitality. Escobar's imprisonment hardly kept him cut off from the world. He frequently entertained guests, hosting grand parties and inviting influential friends to join him. With multiple rooms furnished in pure luxury, La Catedral wasn't a place to go to waste. And, if the rumors are true, even Frank Sinatra made a visit to perform. But it didn't end there. Escobar made sure the prison was equipped with advanced communication systems, allowing him to run his cartel operations with ease. It almost seemed as if Escobar was untouchable, destined to rule Colombia without challenge for decades to come. But of course, that's not how the story ends. Eventually, Escobar's hold over La Catedral unraveled. The Colombian government, initially willing to turn a blind eye to his continued cartel activities, grew concerned after reports surfaced that he had 4 of his own lieutenants tortured and murdered within the walls of La Catedral. That was the breaking point. Officials realized they needed to move Escobar to a standard prison. Naturally, Escobar refused. After spending 1 year and 1 month in La Catedral, he went on the run once again. The Colombian government, now more determined than ever, launched a massive manhunt. They deployed a special 600-man unit called Search Block, trained by the United States Delta Force, and placed it under the command of Colonel Hugo Martinez. On December 2, 1993, the hunt finally came to an end when Escobar was located and killed by the men sent to capture him. As for La Catedral, the infamous prison that had once housed one of the world's most dangerous and powerful drug lords, has since been given new life. Now, the prison has been transformed into a monastery, a change that holds a touch of irony, considering its dark past. Most of the original structures of La Catedral were dismantled by treasure hunters looking for Escobar's hidden fortune. The site remained abandoned and in ruins for years, until, in 2007, a group of Benedictine monks arrived and transformed it into a place of spiritual pilgrimage. Today, it serves as a peaceful sanctuary, a far cry from the violent legacy of its past, and even includes a memorial to honor the many victims of Escobar's reign of terror. Pablo Escobar owned a lot of property in his lifetime. By now, they've either been abandoned, reclaimed by nature, or turned into something new altogether. From the massive La Manuela estate turned paintball field to the sprawling Hacienda Nápoles, which now serves as a family-friendly theme park, these sites tell the story of Escobar's extravagant and dangerous lifestyle. Properties like La Casa Grande were left to decay, with only their skeletal remains hinting at the grandeur that once housed a kingpin. These estates, once bustling centers of Escobar's power, are now eerie relics of a darker time, each reflecting a part of Colombia's complicated history with its most infamous drug lord. Escobar's Hotel Escobar La Catedral has perhaps seen the most symbolic transformation. The luxury prison he once controlled has been converted into a monastery, a place of peace and reflection, symbolizing the country's desire to move forward and find healing. It's ironic that a man who once terrorized a nation now has his former stronghold as a place for spiritual sanctuary. The contrast speaks volumes about Colombia's resilience and efforts to repurpose these remnants into something very positive. Today, Escobar's mansions are not just abandoned structures. They're symbols of the extremes of wealth, power, and ultimately, the downfall of a man who once thought he was untouchable. They are a reminder of his legacy, which Colombia has worked hard to overcome. What do you think about Escobar's many mansions? Were they a bit much even for a drug kingpin? Or do you think it was just a small part of his extravagant lifestyle? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories.